Can you hear me, Kristen?
Hi, everybody. This is Support Sister Sunday with Queen Crystal and myself, Queen Kimberly. And then we have our special guest, Katana.
Katana Blaque.
Katana Blaque. Can you hear us, Crystal? Can you hear us, Crystal? She might not be able to hear us now.
I think she need to log out and log back in. As many times as I had to.
Crystal.
I can't hear her.
I can't hear her. She's froze. All right. Oh, there. You okay now? No, she still froze. Anyway, so we want to talk about shadow work. Shadow work being strength.
Indeed.
So I'm trying to get Crystal to jump off and jump back on.
Okay, text her.
I did. But she's still froze. Look at a beautiful froze.
Indeed.
So, how do you want to start this off?
I want to talk about why shadow work is a never-ending thing. Why, even through healing, it always continues. It will always continue. And I found that out most recently because trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trauma is something that you survive, that you live through, that you learn from, that you go through. And my trauma personally, I thought that I had really dealt with, all the things that I needed to in my childhood growing up. And I met...
Oh no, you froze now.
Eyes to the fact that my healing wasn't done.
You froze.
And that healing is never done.
You froze at I met.
And since then, memories and things that I had buried and
Are we here? You froze.
I'm not frozen. I was waiting for Crystal.
No, she froze. I was telling her she froze. And then, you back, Crystal?
I still can't hear her. Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't hear her.
I know.
I don't know what to do.
So, but you did freeze for a second when you said you met and it didn't finish.
Okay, so can you hear me?
I can. The audience can. Miss Crystal can't hear nobody.
And we can't hear her either. It took me a few times to get here. So maybe you should
go
try
and then come back.
Out, go in and
go
come back.
and then come back. I don't know what to do without kicking her off. I hope she comes back.
I think we need to just start a little bit earlier instead of at the 11th hour to get all the little doohickeys out, because the universe.
They're trying to stop this. That's all it is.
Right. Absolutely. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's all that is. Because we're going to help somebody today.
Mm-hmm. So what I've learned, that it's important to heal your inner child. It's important because we put things aside and we don't realize that we did. We thought me personally, I've thought that I've healed myself in many different situations and realized that I really honestly didn't. I just put it in a filing cabinet somewhere and put it to the back of my body, in my head. And when I did some self-reflect and started thinking about different things, I realized there was a lot that I still needed to work on with myself. I don't know how, and I'm going to pick my words better because I do know how. I am learning how to be able to have a relationship with other females. I've never had a strong bond with another female ever in my whole entire life. So for me to be able to learn that it's okay to have another feminine energy in my presence and treat them respectfully as such. And that was new for me to learn. Can you hear us, Crystal? Can you hear me, babe?
She cannot.
She cannot. Go and then come back again. She says mercy. I love her to pieces. So anyways, I'm learning how to properly handle myself and be mindful of myself because I'm so accustomed to people being so temporary in my life. So temporary in my life. I'm not used to nothing being permanent.
Okay.
The only thing I've ever had permanent in my life is my son. And that's because I couldn't kill him or get rid of him. I had to take care of him. I had to take him with me because I was 17. I never had anything permanent. And I didn't, because I was never permanent to myself. I didn't love me correctly enough to realize that I was allowed to be able to be loved by someone. And that was the hardest thing to learn to do, is to love myself correctly and accept things. I still have a hard time accepting compliments. Because it's new to me.
Let's normalize loving oneself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't...
Can you hear us, Crystal?
I'm sick of her. Yeah.
She can hear us. Yay!
Hey, Bookie.
Third time's the charm.
Right. See? It's going to take a few times. It's okay.
So I was saying the thing for me that I've learned to do is love myself correctly, and it was hard for me to do. I've always loved others way more than I ever loved myself. I was telling Crystal a story one time that I'd done something that I'm not proud of, but who I used to be is not who I am today, but who I used to be helped build who I am today. So I'm okay on speaking on what I've done before. And I remember a guy gave me this bag of stuff and said, here, shove this up inside of you. And I did without thinking. I just naturally grabbed it and shoved it inside of me. Never had a drug charge, never even seen drugs before, didn't even know what this was. And I shoved it up inside of me blindly because I didn't care about myself enough to be like, no. I don't want that in my vehicle, let alone in my presence. But yet I just did what I was told and shoved it up inside of me. Now, if we would have got pulled over, he wasn't even going to take the charge. He said that because I never had one before, it'd be easier for me to take it. That meant he didn't really even care about me in the first place.
Absolutely not.
And I still stayed, thinking it was acceptable behavior.
That's how you was in love at the time.
And
that's what you thought.
Yeah.
That's what you was.
Because I didn't love me correctly.
Right.
So I was willing to accept anything that was given to me, even if it wasn't proper, because I just had, as long as it was something. Good thing, I mean, I have angels all over me because we didn't get pulled over and nothing happened, and I still have a clean record. Blessings. But I know my guardian angel's constantly shaking its head at me, being like, girl, not today, please. Not today.
Hey, I'm sick of you.
But no, we do things as women just for love. We do things that we shouldn't do. We sell ourselves short for others.
Sacrifice. We accept things that we wouldn't accept from anyone. You know. So let me give you some backstory for me. My trauma started when I was a very young person, and in order for you to understand who Katana Blaque is now, you gotta kind of walk with me on this journey. So, at 11 years old, I was raped. I was raped and I was held for 2.5 days by 10 men. When I tell you that, now this is going to be a trigger for anybody watching. If you've experienced anything like this, um, I'm going to be very, very diligent and honest and transparent in this moment, because being transparent has gotten me to a place where I can heal and I encourage healing. And, I became and become a vessel, a person that can relate. And anything that's relatable, it's teachable, it's a resource, it's for someone else. You got to be a trailblazer when it comes to trauma. So anyway, this this thing that happened to me, I couldn't talk about it. After the incident happened, I didn't talk for weeks. I couldn't maneuver because my body and my brain, 97 stitches to reattach my anus and my vagina, a quart and 4 ounces of semen pumped from my stomach.
Wow.
And I was a little girl. So my daughter is now 12 years old. When I look at her and I'm like, wow, like she doesn't even have the mental capacity to withstand something like that, So that was the beginning of my death. And each time I die and I press my way through a situation, a relationship, anything, I'm reinvented. That's why I have so many names.
Mm-hmm.
When I see people, they're like, well, really don't know what to call you. Like, you got 50,000 names. But all of those names were stepping stones through the trauma into the next phase of the healing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Katana Blaque now, and if you know me, if you have ever been on my Facebook page and you see pictures like these, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. And you see pictures like these. When I take pictures, I take a lot of pictures. I love the camera, but when I take pictures with intent and I get dressed in those pictures, they're always that of a warrior. Because I learned a long time ago that I was a protector for those who didn't have a voice. When I was 7 years old, I didn't have a voice, and those girls that I listen to every day while I'm in my office, them don't have a voice between the ages of 4 and 14 years old. They have had some trauma. And it's really important for those who have survived trauma, whatever it is, whatever you want to label it as, whatever you want to call it, to make sure that you are inviting those who haven't reached that level where you are to join you in helping them heal. Tools, resources, a listening ear, tea and some tears, whatever it is, you really need to make yourself available once you know that you can get assistance in that space. I didn't have that. I didn't have the support of my mom or my dad. I didn't have the outreach or the the activities. Maybe if I had activities at that age, maybe I wouldn't have been where I wasn't supposed to. Never blaming myself for what happened to me, but understanding that if people are in place and things were in place, maybe my outcome would have been a lot different.
Facts.
So I remember that you just said that you had a hard time building relationships with women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm assuming that some of your traumas come from women.
My mother.
You know, and that's usually how it happens. Right. So understand that. And my trauma has come from men.
Mm-hmm.
And the choices in men that I made, the relationships that I can no longer have, reaching for something that I was chasing. I didn't know what I was chasing, but it always had me in a place where I was trying to fix someone's something. And now as I look back on my former relationships and former situations that I encountered, that I invited myself to or was invited to, it's always fixing someone else. But who fixes you?
Right.
Where does your fixing come from? You know, and you go from and you maneuver through life, and you have these things that you're scared of. You have these things that hurt you, but you also have a desire to win.
Mm-hmm.
And once you make up your mind in your mind that you want to win, you're not going to let anything stop you. You know, so I say that to say that shadow work is not just done in the dark. It's not just done in the wee hours of the morning. You know, being supportive, being a sister to another woman, to another little girl. Those are the things that we have to do. We have to, especially if we survive some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those we can't let those things deter us from trying to connect to someone who needs us.
And that's the whole reason why we started this show, is because we want to help one another. Can you hear Crystal?
So
Crystal, can you hear? Can you hear us, ma'am? She can hear us, but we can't hear her. She said shit. I did see that. She said shit.
I wish I could hear. I really wanna talk about ways and things that you can do in your shadow work journey. Writing, that's one of the biggest things that I do. Everything that hurts me, everything that I feel a certain way about, I journal everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got notebooks next to my bed, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, in my car, in my truck, everywhere. Everywhere that I can have something to write on, that's where I have it. Because certain things hit you out of nowhere. And if you don't record it, you can't deal with it later.
Mm-hmm.
Because every 24 hours of the day, you're going to be hit with some life happening. And even though life's happening, you still need to deal with these things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you write them down and you can get back to it later, but it's important to recognize that it keeps coming back. If you keep repeating the same things over and over, that means you haven't learned the lesson you need to learn from it.
Exactly.
You know, so in learning and in trying to heal myself, you know, I isolated for a long time. I didn't want to be in a relationship. I didn't want to be close to anyone. And I thought that I loved me. But my choices showed me that I didn't, because I allowed things to happen in my life that if I stepped out of my feelings and stepped out of that situation, I'm looking at it like, are you serious? Is that was too much of a high cost for me to pay for love. So I realized long ago that I had to start loving me. And if you love you, then you can show the people who you want to entertain in that love space how to love you.
Yeah.
And there's two things that gonna happen: either they gonna love you where you at, or you gonna leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
But that's moving past, what we're really trying to do here, and that's coping skills. How do you cope with the nightmares, the night sweats, repeating the same cycles? How do you cope with feeling the hurt and being triggered by a smell, by a flower, by anything? I mean, everybody's trauma is different.
Mm-hmm.
So once you recognize your triggers, once you recognize that this thing still hurts me, and how I recognize it is, if I can't talk about it without crying, there's more work that needs to be done in that area.
Facts.
So that's how I measure it for me. I don't know how someone else can measure it, but for me, I'm a sound person. I got plenty of common sense. I got plenty of good sense. I don't come from a traditional professional background. I mean, I'm definitely self-made. I did ninth grade 3 times before I quit school. So the highest level of education I have is eighth grade, formally, school-wise. So everything I have done in my life, I really have gotten it out of the mud. I've aligned myself with people who had what I wanted or knew what I wanted to learn, and I asked them to help me.
Mm-hmm.
Help me learn so that I can do it on my own, so that I can be, what I want to be and be successful or whatever. And I extend my hand the same way to others. Everybody doesn't learn from books.
Mm-mm.
Everything that I want to learn, I gotta touch it. I gotta do it. Every job I've had in my formative years, like 20s and my 20s and 30s, jobs that I've had, I've bluffed my way into those jobs simply by reading the job description, killing the interview. I'm a talker. I can talk my way out of a trash bag.
Mm-hmm.
So all I gotta do is get people to like me enough to want to give me an opportunity. Because at the end of the day, all they gotta do, they have to train me. That's how I learn.
Mm-hmm.
So that was ways that I used to, get around the formal education portion of life. But again, you have to know yourself. You have to be able to look in the mirror and say, this is what I want. This is what I require. This is what needs to happen for me, and stand on it. Like, that's it for me. I treat people the way that I want to be treated, and I don't give you an opportunity to show me who you are a second time. Once you show me, my father told me, you don't have to let a snake bite you to know that it's a snake.
Right.
So recognizing people where they are and who they are, that's another resource for you, because you can't love the hell out of someone. You can't love them enough to make them change, or to make them stop, or to make them do what you need them to do. Everything is a cause and effect. And if you cause yourself pain, if you cause yourself being uncomfortable in a situation, why is someone else going to give you relief from that when you allow it to happen to begin with? Tell me you can hear me.
I can.
Mm-hmm. She said she was going out to her truck.
It probably was the signal from the basement.
Okay. What city are you in?
I'm in Detroit.
Oh.
Is it?
It keeps going. why I had to bundle up before I came out.
It was 8 degrees 2 days ago. Now it's cold. So, yeah.
It was cold a couple of days ago, and now it's about 50.
Okay.
So
So, tell one in because we haven't heard from you. We can get
right.
back. We can get back from stuff, but I kind of want you to jump in here.
So where we at with it?
Shadow work and what you could do the best to heal. What are the steps that you can do to work through your problems and traumas?
Taking more accountability, because someone is only going to do what you allow them to do.
Absolutely.
So when you start to take more accountability and figure out what you could have did to maybe say not be so available for someone, to allow them that space to be able to use you as they will as they want to. Because I'm gonna say this, for me personally, I tend to want to fix everyone as well.
I just said that. Yeah.
And I don't give them time to show me what they can do to fix themselves. I'm always the type of person who wants to, if your day going shitty, I want to see what I can do to make it better. And sometimes that could be a little enabling.
Definitely a crutch.
Yeah. So I think me personally, I just need to learn to let people work through stuff. And maybe they need time in that space to be able to work through it. But I know how I am. I'm not gonna let you sit there too long.
Sometimes you ever notice that you really learn the lessons when you feel it. So letting a person sit there in that space is necessary because you gotta feel it. If it doesn't pain you, okay, if you got $500 and you walk from your door to your car and you lose that, you gonna feel it, right? It's gonna make you have better preparations with your money. It's only gonna take one time for you to do that, right? You felt that, right?
Right.
But when you feel it, that's why love hurt like that. You know that? That love, that romantic stuff.
Yeah.
Whew, that's why it hurt. Cause you got to learn in that. And a lot of times, we as women, we don't learn while we in the mix.
Mm-mm.
Because we love.
Yeah. It took me. It took me to have to go through my divorce, get drugged through the mud with the divorce, and wash myself clean before I could understand the lesson. Because with every situation, there is a learned lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And sometimes when we go through it, we too blind to see the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me a minute, but I made a conscious choice to never be bitter. Never take that out on the next person, because you never know what lesson that person that comes into your life can teach you as well. And it could be a beautiful lesson. But if you still holding on past traumas, it's not gonna happen until you fix you.
I think she froze. You know, another way of
Can y'all hear?
recognizing. I can hear you. I think she froze. Can you hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Crystal?
This was frozen.
I thought you were froze for a second there.
No, I was just listening.
Another way though is healing your inner child. It's a very easy step to do, and a lot of people don't know the tools of doing it. Our mind is an amazing wonder. Our mind is one of the most beautiful things in the world, yet our mind could be our biggest enemy. Because if we allow our mind to have too much control, it will over control our thoughts. And it will try to own us. And I've learned through a bunch of shadow work and meditation and whatnot through my ethers. That was what really helped me was my ethers. And I'm going 6 years strong with this, and that was overcoming someone trying to take me out of this world. My trauma did start with my mom, and I do have that disconnect with other women because of it, but it stemmed from my mom all the way to just wanting love, and I was accepting any kind of love possible, even if it was unhealthy. I didn't care. I didn't care where it came from, who it came from, and what it looked like when it came to me. And I would take it and accept it, even if it was a one-night stand. It didn't matter to me, because that was love to me. It wasn't proper love. I know that now. But it took me having to heal myself and overcome things to realize that. And that's why I stopped drinking. That's why I stopped drinking, because I had to realize that drinking wasn't good for me, because every time I would drink, I would become a different person than I'm normally not. And I would be stuck in a state of old ways without healing myself. So I realized that I wasn't able to handle myself properly when I would drink, so I just stopped drinking altogether because it wasn't good for me. When I did something that was unhealthy to me so well that I was walking around blacked out state, still walking around trying to function, I know it's not healthy, so I had to quit it. I would have ended up dead. So I would cry constantly over things that happened to me when I was a kid because I wasn't healing. I was just putting stuff in the back of my head and forgetting about it. Putting stuff in the back of my head and forgetting about it. And then I just all of a sudden got piled up, and I get why hoarders are hoarders at the end of the day. Because instead of going through that box, you just put another box on top of the box. Put another box on top of the box. And then all of a sudden now your mind is cluttered with all these different boxes that you have to unpack. Because if not, then you're stuck inside this trauma. And the only thing you look is trauma bonds. That's what you look for, because that's what you're comfortable with. That's what you're familiar with, is bonds of other people or other people's traumas. So doing healing your inner child is extremely easy to do. And I can show anybody and walk them through the steps of how to do it. But the first thing you have to learn to do is believe. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in what you're doing, it's not going to matter anyways. Because, like I said, your mind is very powerful. Are you back with us? Can you both hear me? Can you hear me? Crystal, can you hear us? Crystal? Yeah. Katana, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, hearing or healing your inner child is the easiest thing to do. And I can show you a couple of steps of doing that. if people would go into an area where it's this extremely quiet in their house or wherever they're at, and they would close their eyes and they picture themselves, the youngest image they have of themselves that they possibly can, whatever age that may be. Picture yourself walking up to yourself, seeing yourself, looking at yourself and telling yourself that you love you and that you apologize for all those things that you allowed yourself to grow through. And I always say grow, and I never say go, because nothing happens to you. Everything always happens for you. And people got to realize that everything is a lesson that has to be learned. Because we are warriors. We are all tough warriors here. And this battle that is meant for us is the toughest battle ever. But we have to get to the point where we're able to fight for us. And we have to stop looking for others to take care of us and support us and fight for us if we can't fight for ourselves. So you go to that youngest state that you can remember yourself being, and you grab you. You hug you. You tell you that you love you and that you are going to protect you. And you will never allow anything ever bad to happen to you ever again. And you walk away feeling such joy, such safety, such pleasure, knowing that you took care of you. And as you're walking away, you see every one of your family members standing there, and you start waving to them. You and your inner child start waving to them, telling them goodbye. And you just keep watching them as you're walking away, walking away, walking away. And then all of a sudden, they disappear. You have this feeling of acceptance, this feeling of joy, knowing that you are protected. We are all children still. Our inner child has only been asleep because of agreements upon others made us change our ways.
Extra piece. I don't know if you have.
Can you hear us, Crystal? We can't hear you.
My mic is muted.
I muted your mic because someone walked in, but I was asking Crystal if she could hear us.
So, I want to piggyback off of protection and safety. For a lot of years of my life, I looked to the men that were my suitors at the time to be my protectors, to be my safety. My first example of my protector was my dad. Mm-hmm. And my dad was a horrible husband to my mother, but he was an awesome father to me. Mm-hmm. And he set the stage and made the standard of, how a man is supposed to love you. Of course, in a fatherly way. My father was not any source of my personal, not my physical trauma. Mm-hmm. Seeing him abuse my mom and hurt my mom, that really had me conflicted as a child, because when it was just me and my dad, everything was perfect. I felt safe. So in my relationships, I look for someone to be my protector. Mm-hmm. I look for someone to be my safety. Mm-hmm. Even though I am my team, I could hold myself down. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I fight, I carry guns, all that. But it's being safe in someone's energy is my heart's desire. And I spent my entire life looking for that in the people that I chose to let into my space. So it comes to a point where you have to be able to make yourself feel safe. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, just like if you rely on someone else to make you happy, mm-hmm. if they have a bad day, guess what? You having one too. Mm-hmm. If they have a bad week, you having one too. They have a bad year, you having one too. So we got to start with self. recognizing what you want, what you need, what you require, and standing on it.
Mm-hmm.
I force people to stand on decisions they make in my life. You know, I am who I am, and you can take it or you can leave it. But I'm not going to sway either way to make you feel comfortable about the way that you're treating me or the way that you're treating me. And one of the things that is so important in safety is feeling safe.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do that for yourself. And if you don't feel safe, you got to find out what makes you feel safe
Mm-hmm.
and do that thing. And do that thing. You have to be accountable. You have to want to do it. You can teach somebody steps in healing, but if they're not ready to hold accountable their portion or the things that happen, it's not going to work. You got to be willing to put in the effort to get it done for yourself. That old saying, you could take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be a part of your own rescue. That's where it starts at for me.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of friend that's going to keep talking about the problems that you have. We're going to talk about it the first time. We're going to come up with some good ideas and resolve for you. But that second conversation, third conversation, is not going to be about the same problems that you had opportunities to change. I'm not her. You know, don't sit here and tell me I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job, but you get up and go there every day. So your healing journey definitely is going to start with you.
Mm-hmm.
Writing down what hurts you, what has hurt you, what things that you've gone through, what triggers you are. You have to write it down because that's what makes it real. This is a blank piece of paper until you put words on it.
Yep.
When you put words on it, because what are spells?
Words.
Words. So if you get up in the morning and say, I'm going to have a horrible day. I'm gonna do awful today. I'm gonna have a car accident. You sending that into the universe
Mm-hmm.
for the spirit that's attached to your words
Mm-hmm.
to bring that to fruition for you. So if you don't start speaking life into you, how do you think you're gonna live?
Yeah.
Other than miserably. It just doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
It's no easy fix. It's no easy way to do life. Life is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do when life happens that shows you what you made out of.
Mm-hmm.
I have this thing with myself that when something happens, I'm going to give it an hour out of 24. It's not going to consume my whole day. Some things you can resolve within an hour. Some things take a little bit longer. But after that hour, they got to get put to the side. Because the rest of life, the rest of these 23 hours have to count for me. And I don't entertain, well, because this happened to me, this is the way that I am. Because as a child, you don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a choice in a lot of things as a child. But when you become an adult, I grew up from trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, and I am a dominant in the BDSM community. However, there are certain things that I just don't do. And it's because of my trauma that I don't do those things, because I know how I felt when those things were happening to me, so I won't do them to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone comes to me and requests that, I got to refer them to somebody else who's okay with that, because I can't.
Right.
Because it goes against me.
Mm-hmm.
It goes against my force. I love to be the person to have the light turn on for someone. But they got to be looking, the energy, the outlet need to be plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
You got to plug into yourself. So tools, resources, reaching out to people, it's hard to trust. Not just women, it's hard to trust men. Mm-hmm. It's hard to trust men and women who say that they love you and they care about you and your best interest is. It's hard to trust that. What do you do? You got to be strong enough within yourself in order to maneuver throughout all of that.
Mm-hmm. I said to somebody one time, and I appreciate this person coming into my life, and I really want to hear Crystal say something. I don't think she can hear us. Or she can hear us, but we can't hear her. Someone told me one time, I said, I went on a journey, and I went on a fast journey, and when I went on this fast journey, I found myself so much, and I learned to love me correctly. And I've only been learning to love me correctly just going on almost 2 years now. And it took me a long time. I'm almost 50, but it took me forever to learn this. And when I did, I said to somebody, I said, I'm going to ask for my eye of awareness to be open for protection. And they said, who do you need protecting against? And I said, I don't know. And they said to me, well, you need protecting against yourself. And I said, man, you're right. Because I allowed so much stuff to happen to me and that I wasn't protecting me at all. So when I asked for my eye of awareness to be open and I asked for protection, it was for myself. I had to protect me against me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Plenty.
And once I learned that I was the problem, that because I was allowing so many bad things to happen to me, nobody was doing that but me, because I was looking for love in all the wrong ways, all the wrong places, through all the wrong things, because I didn't know what love really was. I knew I wanted it, but I never received it properly to know exactly what I wanted.
Right.
And I was accepting anything that was given to me. If I could count how many times people have told me to go kill myself in life, and if I really took everything that someone told me, and I did, and if I did everything that someone told me to do, I wouldn't be here today. At all.
Right.
And that's from all the way stemming from my father on through. And my father, like, same as you, my father was a good father. He was a crappy husband and a crappy man. And I don't want to say this, I'm saying this like for real, he was a crappy man. But as a father, he was a great father. And he loved me correctly as a father. Maybe because he felt obligated or he had no choice or what the matter may be. But as a man, he didn't do right by me. He told me, he was the first one to tell me that every man should have more than one woman, and every woman should be okay with that. If they want to please their man properly, then this is what they have to do. They have to allow this to happen. Which, I don't have a problem with it. I'm into all that. Polyamorous, all that. I'm okay with that. Like, none of that matters to me. I don't have jealousy ever in my body. I don't have an overstanding of that. I can't relate to it. I don't know what it's like to only want something for you. And maybe that's because I was raised where it was acceptable, and that I saw it my whole entire life. My dad always had a girlfriend and a wife. My sisters were sisters or products of threesomes, not because my dad had them, because they're not, but my dad adopted them because he loved kids so much that he'd take everybody's kids on that he was sleeping with. So I have family members that have my last name that are my sisters to me, even though that we don't share DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Because love has no color and no blood. And my dad taught me that. My dad taught me to accept everything and everybody. Which is good. But then again, it's not good. Because you shouldn't tell your daughter that the only thing she's good for is sex. As a man should not tell his daughter that. And, I mean, I waited till I was 16 to have sex, and the second person I had sex with, I ended up having a child. And God knew what he was doing, because that saved my life. And I only had one son. And I was very promiscuous. And I thought sex was love. I didn't know the difference. I didn't know that sex is not love. And that you could have sex with someone you hated. Until I got older and realized I'd done it a lot. to accept things, to give my dad told me I had to give my son stability, so I had to put up with everything. So I was with somebody that was a gaslighting manipulator, narcissist, everything, because I had to give my son stability. And he was a great provider, even though he was a shitty person. And I wanted to kill myself so many times. I even took a noose and wrapped it around my neck. And I saved me because I believed in me. And I asked for a sign. And the universe has always spoke to me my whole entire life. And I've always listened. I was a little stubborn with it, and sometimes I continued doing it and kept hitting my head, thinking why it hurt, and then realized it's because I'm keep hitting my head. But yet, I had to do all that to be who I am today. And I love who I am today. I would never undo any of it. I have no regrets. I don't want to undo anything that I went through. I want to heal everything I went through. But I don't want to change it. Because if changing what I went through would change who I am today, then I will never want to do that. Because I love who I am. And this world will never harden my heart. And that's the best gift ever. I love people. I love loving. And I support people. And I want to uplift people. And I want to constantly help people. I see rainbows and butterflies every single day. And I see the best in everybody. I now protect my peace, though, and I know now that my peace is so important, and I don't tolerate a whole bunch of stuff, and I will block a person real super fast. So I'm okay with someone. I can even hand them the scissors if they want to cut me out, because I'm so accustomed to that. It don't faze me whatsoever. I have a blood sister that I loved, that was my breath, and she was everything to me. And she stopped talking to me when I needed her the most. And now she talks. Now I can talk to her because she'll talk to me. But I choose not to because I was so accustomed to being without her that I'm just going to let it be. People put themselves in the position they want to be in your life. And I allow them to. I'm not going to force no one to be in any position with me. Now, that's healthy. But then again, that's not healthy. Crystal, do you have a story to share? Mama, do you have a story to share, Crystal? How did you know that you needed to do more shadow work, Katana?
So, I came in contact with someone, and we were talking, we were getting to know each other, and I started to share some trauma, some things, that made me, one of the questions was, what makes you you? And my answer is always the same. Everything that I've lived through and that I've survived, that I've grew through and pressed my way through. And in talking, I just got so emotional. I haven't cried about some of these stories that I've shared in a very long time. That made me aware. That made me know, there was more work that I needed to do.
Right.
And then my office is right next door to this dance team, and I hear these girls, and I hear them, practicing, and I see them, and when I look at them, I see me.
Yeah.
And I see safety, because they got an outlet. They got somewhere to go. They have coaches to talk to. They have people in position. Whether or not they're utilizing them or not, I don't know. But this person was like, I need you to sew into those girls. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm going to give you this checkbook, and I want you to help these girls. Whatever they need, talk to the coach, find out what they need, and we're gonna make sure that they get what they need in order for them to continue to have a safe space. That was big for me.
Yeah.
That was I mean, when I tell you goosebumps and tears, and I went to the coach and I said, hey, listen, it's on my spirit heavy. It's in my heart to sow into you and what you're doing for these girls. And we sat there. She burst into tears. I burst into tears. She started sharing with me, started talking to me, and I'm like, listen, this is what we're going to do. I need you to email me a list of everything that you need. I'm not going to say I can, supply everything, but I'm going to put a dent in that list.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it's just been amazing. Every day, things that I buried in this little black box in my stomach that I hid from myself because I didn't want to deal with, or I thought that I dealt with, and I've been knocking these things out. I've been clearing out that box. I've been clearing out that box, and it feels so good. And I said, I gotta help somebody.
I love that. I love that for you. I really do. I remember, it's been almost a year since I've met you. I remember when I first stumbled across you, and I don't recall how it happened. Honestly, I don't recall how it happened, because I don't think we had mutual friends or anything, but the universe brought you into my life. And when I stumbled across you, all I saw was such power and such strength and such positive, and just your light was so beautiful, and it shined from your soul. It wasn't your face that I saw the beauty in. It was your eyes. It was your soul. And it shined so bright. You were like this little child trapped in this cage. But you could see the joy within your eyes. Because when you smiled, everything around you light up. Like there was nothing around you that was dark. You smiled and like everybody knew that you were feeling it. If that makes any sense.
It does.
So I come upon you, I talked to you for a second, and then I asked you to be on my show, and that was one, and it was my other show, my Unseen Twisted Truth, and that was one of the best episodes. I had over 2,300 viewers. I don't know if you know this, but that was one of the most watched episodes ever.
Really?
On my show.
Wow.
You made such an impact, and it's so hilarious that we almost made a meme of you because you were telling your friend who was she's healing, and she was really pushy, and you were like, hold on.
Not now. Not now.
And we made that an inside joke for us, and I almost made a meme out of it because it was so hilarious that you had to put her in a check.
Not now.
Not now, Keisha. And it was the funniest thing ever, and I think I made a clip of that, honestly, but it was hilarious. But it was the most watched episode because you touched a lot of people with your story. Because you showed so much strength and so much power, and no matter what you put yourself in and you allowed to happen to you, you came out stronger, 10 times stronger at the end. And you've been knocked down and drugged through the dirt so much your whole entire life, and every time you stood up stronger. You came back and bounced, and you got everything back and some, tenfolds. So when I was talking to Crystal about putting this on, the only thing I thought of was strength. I thought of you. The only other woman in my life that's as strong as you is my stepmom. And that's a high standard to put you against her because that's my everything. She's the only person that took time out of her life to try to kill me, to let me know that I needed to do better for me because I had a child. And she's the only one that's ever told me I was beautiful, and that I had to stop selling myself short and stop letting guys have their way with me because I was more worthy than that. And I never had nobody tell me that. I never had nobody tell me that I was precious and that I was worth it. She's on a mission. We froze for a second. Krista, can you hear me?
Hey,
Tell me your
I
story.
can hear you.
Tell,
Can you hear me?
yes, tell me your story.
Where would you like for me to start, my love?
Start from wherever you knew when you needed healing.
I wouldn't say that I needed healing, but I was pushed towards being a better me. It started when I was younger. I would run away a lot. I didn't have really a reason why. I just would come back. And
Oh,
evidence against me. School.
my goodness, this is terrible. The universe is really stopping this from happening.
And I was a girl.
Dang, the universe is stopping this from happening. We need to have this for real. We need to really have this. The universe is stopping her from
I
telling.
missed like the last 4 minutes.
That's okay. The universe is stopping her from telling her story. I was just saying how proud I was of you and that all I saw was strength from you, and I'm proud of you. But she was telling her story, and the universe is not letting her do it at all. Well, it's not even the universe. I apologize. I apologize, Mother Universe. It is not the universe that's stopping her from doing it. It's those things that are stacked up against us to not help each other grow. They don't want us to
That's
unite.
what I believe. Because the universe blesses me.
Yeah, that's why I said I apologized. I apologize to my Mother Universe because the universe blesses me too. I'm not putting that upon the universe.
It's okay. But see, the first one, this is the first one. We definitely got a lot of different episodes coming up.
Yes.
And Crystal is going to be able to tell her story. I just really want to leave everyone with something tangible, because having something tangible is what starts for a lot of people.
Do you know who? Do you know who this is? Tupac Johnson.
Once you remove the confusion, once you remove the fear. Say again.
Do you know who Tupac Johnson is? Teapot Johnson.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you can't hear me. There's a delay.
Yeah, so you're going in and out.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that the only thing we can do is back out and come back in again.
Right, I can't. I'm not froze, so I can't because then I'll lose everything.
Let's try.
A lot of people have to take accountability for their actions and be mindful that no one knows what you're growing through. Everybody's going through something. Everybody's dealing with something. Everybody is trying to better themselves. And if you're not, then you have to remove yourself from situations that are not of you, that are not for you. And allow yourself to be surrounded around people that see you in the light that you see yourselves in. Allow yourself to surround yourself around beautiful people that love you and want good for you, not from you. There's a huge difference. Utilize and using are two different things, and allow yourself to be around people that want to utilize with you, not use you. But healing starts with self. Hopefully they both jump back on. If not, we're going to do this every Sunday at 2 o'clock. We're going to have a Support Sister Sunday at 2 o'clock. And we got many episodes to try to work on many different things. So I want people to realize that, you know, all that trauma and everything that you went through wasn't overnight. It's built up and built up and built up and built up. So don't expect to fix yourself overnight. Don't expect you to be okay tomorrow. Because if you're not, that's okay. But live every moment for the now and try to be okay in the moment now. Try and better yourself in that moment that you're in. And then work your way to the next moment. Don't expect every day to be rainbows and butterflies, because you're going to have moments that they're not. And that's okay. You're not alone, though. Just know that. Because there's other people that can help you, that can relate, and that will see, that will hold your hand, and that will just walk you through the dark times. Because it's only, any storm that you feel heavy in is only dark because you're in the middle of it. It's only heavy because you're in it. Once you get out of it and you grow through it, it's never heavy. No storm is heavy tomorrow. It's only heavy while you're in it.
Right.
So if you remember that, and don't beat yourself up over mistakes that you can't undo, because once it's done, it's done. All you can do is go forward and better the next moment.
Absolutely.
And when that person told me if I need protection against anybody, it was myself. From the things that I allowed myself. Anything outside of self is none of your business. And that's the truth. And I don't mean to be mean about that or harsh about it, but if you got to hear it that way, because nobody cares about your feelings but you. Somebody else may be sympathetic of your feelings, but they can't relate to them like you do, because it's not within them. They don't feel what you feel. So you gotta take that in accountability too, and remember that, you know, even though tomorrow's not promised to no one, you can still, as soon as you open your eyes, it means you still have a purpose to be a better you. So try to fulfill that purpose and be a better you. I was saying that this ain't gonna be our last Sunday. We're gonna do a Support Sister Sunday every single Sunday, and okay. I want them to realize that they're not alone.
Absolutely not. Reach out to me. Soul Envy on Facebook, Tribe Nation on Facebook and Instagram, Soul Envy on TikTok, Tribe Nation on TikTok, Fet Life. I mean, whatever platform I'm on. If you need me, you inbox me. If you need to talk, if you need some resources, you know, I'm here. I mean, not just the giving season. You know what I mean? Whatever I can do to make it a little bit easier for you, that's just what I'm called to do. And I definitely will be there for anyone reaching out to me.
Yeah.
I have made it, you know, that's the reason why I created Tribe Nation, a safe space. You know what I mean? So that's what we do on a daily basis. That comes naturally. That's not something that I take for granted. And knowing what I'm here and what my purpose is helps me a lot.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I put myself to the side to make sure that someone else is good. I do that all the time. You know, people who know me, and they know that, you know, this is how I carry it, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's time for us to start healing. It's time for us to stop tearing each other apart. Mm-hmm. You know, for whatever reasons, it's time for us to get, you know, what we're supposed to have. And you're going to keep yourself blocked by past traumas and things that hurt you. When you can get rid of them, you ain't got to walk through a desert with a bunch of luggage. Mm-mm. You don't have to. You got to release it. You got to let it go. Have the conversations that you need to have with the people that you can have them with. Some people are not ever going to get closure or resolve on trauma. Mm-mm. But you gotta let it go, though, because you can't get filled if you're already full.
Yeah. And what I've learned, though, and you may agree to this, what I've learned is you have to die in order to be reborn. A piece of you have to let go. A piece of you has to die off. So everything that you've been told your whole entire life If it's not benefiting you today and it does not work in your favor and you keep seeing yourself going back and going back and going back and repeating cycles, throw it all away and say, fucking start over.
Start over, man. If it no longer serves you, let that shit go.
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, don't accept, I'm sorry, baby. Don't accept, I won't do it again. Because people treat us the way we allow them to be, us to be treated. So if we are okay with this and we accept this kind of behavior, what's going to make you think that they're not going to no longer do that?
They're going to continue to do it. That's the nature of people.
My block list is long, and it's just going to keep getting longer, and I don't mind. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I may hand you the scissors. Because people put themselves in the position they're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
So never force, never reach, never beg, never water yourself down. Only surround yourself around people that see you in the light that you see them in or you see yourself in.
Yeah.
If you can't be with somebody that waters you, don't allow them to block your sun.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we're going to do this again next Sunday. We're going to try and do it every single Sunday at 2 o'clock. If 2 o'clock's not a reasonable hour, maybe 3, I don't know. We, around 3:30 is the high volume hour for me, on my, show. I don't know about you, but I went through my dashboard and it shows that I'm most watched around 3:30.
Okay.
So, if 3 o'clock's a better time, we can push for 3 o'clock every single Sunday. Today was the first one, but it's going to be many. And Krista's going to be back on, and she's going to tell her story, because Krista started talking about how she ran away a lot as a young youth and whatnot, and it got shut off on her. So she has a beautiful story, and I want to hear it too. But I love you, and I appreciate you coming on. And anybody that needs some help or anything, get a hold of her or myself. And I tagged her in on 4 different pages, so you'll see all the pages that I tagged her in. So just reach out to any of them. But I appreciate you all. May all your nights be full of positive energy and high vibrations. And love yourself, because if you can't love yourself, you can't expect somebody else to.
Nope.
So, ashe, everybody.
Ashe.